November 23, 1942. Dawn breaks over the frozen Volga River, where the wind howls like a wounded beast through the ruins of Stalingrad. Snow whips across the shattered skyline, stinging the faces of German soldiers huddled in their foxholes, their breaths forming ghostly clouds in the sub-zero air. You can almost feel the bite of that cold, the way it seeps through wool greatcoats and leather boots, turning fingers numb on carabiner rifles. In the command post of the 6th Army, General Friedrich Paulus paces a cramped bunker, his gaunt face illuminated by the flicker of a kerosene lamp. Maps sprawl across the table, marked with frantic pencil line as red arrows of Soviet counterattacks slicing through the flanks like knives through flesh. The air reeks of damp earth, unwashed bodies, and the acrid tang of cordite from endless artillery barrages. Paulus's adjutants whisper urgently, their voices barely rising above the distant rumble of T-34 tanks grinding over ice-crusted rubble. Reports flood in, Romanian divisions to the north and south crumbling under the weight of Zhukov's Operation Uranus, a masterful pincer movement that no one saw coming, or did they? Paulus's eyes narrow as he scans the latest dispatch of over 250,000 men, the cream of the Wehrmacht, now trapped in a shrinking pocket amid the skeletal factories and bombed-out apartments. Ammunition dwindles, food rations shrink to scraps of frozen horse meat. Men are dying not just from bullets, but from frostbite and starvation, their screams echoing through the night like accusations. Outside, in the trenches, Oberleutnant Wilhelm Hoffmann clutches his MP-40 submachine gun, peering through the haze at shadowy figures advancing under cover of blizzard. A burst of Katyusha rockets lights the sky, earth erupting in geysers of snow and shrapnel. Hold the line, he bellows to his platoon, but out creeps WWII. Push deeper into this hell when the flanks are exposed. Back in Paulus's dugout, the general drafts a urgent signal to Army Group B. The situation is critical, withdrawal imperative, but orders from above demand victory at all costs. Hitler himself has proclaimed Stalingrad the linchpin of the Eastern Front, a symbol of unbreakable will. Paulus hesitates, his pen hovering. Is this the trap he's feared? As the Noose tightens, Soviet infantry surges forward, bayonets fixed, their greatcoats blending with the white wasteland. German Panzerivs rev their engines, tracks churning mud into slurry, but fuel is low, and the encirclement is complete. Paulus knows the 6th Army is isolated, cut off from supplies, surrounded by an enemy fueled by vengeance for Leningrad and Moscow. Whispers among the officers turn to dread. How long can they hold? The Volga freezes solid, a cruel irony, locking them in place. And far to the west, in the dim confines of a fortified headquarters, another man pores over these very reports, his temper simmering like a storm about to break. The phone lines crackle with static, bridging the frozen steppe to the heart of the Reich. Paulus's warnings are en route, raw and unfiltered, painting a picture of doom. But will they be heeded, or will arrogance seal the fate of an army and an empire? December 12, 1942. 2:17 a.m., Wolfschanz, East Prussia. The air inside the concrete lair is thick with cigarette smoke and the metallic tang of fear. Fluorescent lights buzz overhead, casting harsh shadows across the map table where Adolf Hitler stands rigid, one gloved hand planted on the edge like a claw. His uniform is immaculate, but the eyes, bloodshot and twitching, betray sleepless nights. Around him, generals in greatcoats shift uneasily, Keitel, Jod, Zstler, their faces pale masks under the glare. A single teletype machine clacks in the corner, spitting out the latest catastrophe from the Volga. The room falls silent as Hitler lifts a flimsy sheet, Paulus's latest plea, stamped urgent in red. His voice, when it comes, is low, almost conversational, then detonates. This man begs to retreat. The paper crumples in his fist. Stalingrad is a fortress. A fortress does not retreat. Spittle flecks the map. You can almost taste the rage, feel the temperature drop as aides step back instinctively. Outside the bunker, pine forests groan under fresh snow, but inside, the only sound is the scrape of Hitler's boots as he pivots to the wall chart. Red arrows, once triumphant thrusts toward the Caspian oil fields, now curl inward like the jaws of a wolf. Zstler, chief of the Army General Staff, clears his throat. Mein Frau und Fortführer, the 6th Army is encircled. Fuel for 3 days. Ammunition for 1 major engagement. Luftwaffe supply drops are landing in Soviet hands. He gestures to a stack of reconnaissance photos, burned out Ju-52s scattered across the steppe like broken toys. Hitler's stare could freeze vodka. G8 the Pilkrow ring promised me 500 tons a day. He hisses. Where is it? Silence. The Reichsmarschall himself is absent, conveniently indisposed in Berlin. In the hush, you hear the distant thud of generators, the pulse of a dying war machine. Hitler leans closer to the map, tracing the pocket with a trembling finger. Stalingrad, once a name to conjure with, now a shrinking blue circle, he mutters, almost to himself. If Paulus breaks out now, the entire southern front collapses. Manstein's relief is coming. But even as he speaks, a new signal arrives. Paulus again. Rations reduced to 100 grams bread per man. Horses slaughtered. Typhus spreading. Hitler's knuckles widen. For 1 heartbeat. Doubt flickers across his face. Raw. Animal. Then the mask slams back. No withdrawal. Fight to the last bullet. The city will be held. He turns to his adjutants. Drop the order. 6th Army will stand fast. Stalingrad is the turning point of the war. The words ring hollow even to him. Jodl exchanges a glance with Stzler, a silent acknowledgement. The trap is sprung, and the Fa-143 just locked the gate from the inside. Somewhere in the ventilation ducts, cold air hisses like a serpent. The generals salute, heels clicking. But as they file out, the corridor swallows their whispers. How many more divisions will we feed to the Volga? Back in the map room, Hitler remains alone with the glowing lamps and the ticking clock. He stares at the red circle, willing it to hold, willing history to bend. But deep in his gut, a cold knot tightens, the first premonition that the Reich's sun is setting over frozen ruins. And 1,200 miles east, Paulus receives the reply. Hold at all costs. The general's hand trembles as he sets the paper down. Outside his bunker, the wind screams louder, carrying the howl of wolves, and something worse. December 19, 1942. 14,000 feet above the Don Bend, inside the shuddering belly of a Junkers Ju-52, frost feathers the windows like lace. The cockpit thermometer reads -38 Celsius. Pilot Oberleutnant Hans Reichhardt grips the yoke with gloved hands, knuckles white, as tracer rounds stitch the sky in glowing arcs. Below, the encircled pocket glimmers faintly through swirling snow, a postage stamp of hell ringed by Soviet anti-aircraft batteries. Bandits at 3 o'clock. The co-pilot yells. Reichhardt banks hard, engines roaring, but another Ju-52 ahead erupts in a fireball, spiraling earthward like a comet. You can almost smell the aviation fuel, feel the lurch in your guts as the plane drops 1,000 feet to evade the yaks. On the ground, German sentries at Pitomnik airfield stamp their feet in the snow, eyes fixed skyward. Every drone of engines is a heartbeat. Every plane that lands, a miracle. They wave flares, guiding the lumbering transports through the blizzard. Crates tumble out, sacks of black bread frozen solid, crates of Panzerfausts, morphine ampules rattling like dice. But the math is merciless. G8 Pilkrow rings boast of 500 tons daily shrinks to 120 on a good day, 40 on a bad one. A single T-34 shell can turn a day's hope into twisted aluminum. Men fight over loaves, teeth chattering, fingers black with frostbite. Where are the promised squadrons? A Feldwebel mutters, watching another transport limping with half its tail shot away. Back in the bunker, Paulus receives the tally. 47 tons delivered, 300 needed just to keep the guns firing. He slams the report down, the crack echoing like a pistol shot. His chief of staff, General Arthur Schmidt, stands silent, face carved from granite. Typhus wards overflow. Surgeons operate by lantern light, amputating limbs with hacksaws. The general tours the hospital trench, stepping over bodies stacked like cordwood. A young soldier, no more than 19, clutches Paulus's sleeve. Herr General, a broken bar. Tell my mother broken bar. The words dissolve into a cough flecked with blood. Paulus pulls away, haunted. That night he drafts another signal, without immediate relief, collapse within days. At Wolfschanz, the message lands on Hitler's desk at 3 o'clock. He is alone again, the room lit only by the green glow of a desk lamp. He reads it once, twice, then hurls it across the room. Manstein will break through. He snarls to the empty air. Field Marshal Erich von Manstein, the master of mobile warfare, is indeed racing toward the pocket with the 4th Panzer Army, but Soviet reserves pour in like floodwater. On December 23, Operation Winter Storm stalls 35 miles short, panzers bogged in drifts, fuel tanks sucking air. Manstein radios Paulus, break out now or never. Paulus stares at the order from Hitler, stand fast. 2 words, ironclad, sealing 250,000 fates. In the pocket, Christmas Eve arrives under a blood-red moon. Soldiers share the last cigarettes, singing still knocked and cracked voices while Katyushas scream overhead. A lieutenant unwraps a parcel from home, a child's mitten, a letter smelling of pine. He weeps silently. Overhead, the Luftwaffe's final mass effort, 200 sorties, ends in carnage. 72 planes lost in a single day. Reichardt, back in the cockpit for one last run, sees the pocket's lights flicker and die under a fresh blizzard. As he turns for home, empty, he whispers into the intercom, "It's over." The radio crackles with static, then silence. Far away, Hitler stares at the map, the red circle now in Noose. A new report slides across the table, Soviet spearheads crossing the dawn. For the first time, he does not dictate a reply. The lamp flickers. Outside, snow erases footprints as if the Reich itself is being gently, relentlessly buried.